Right now our database has tables but no data, and everybody who logs in is treated the same. Real HR software is not like that. An ordinary employee should not see everyone's salaries. A manager should approve leave, but maybe not run payroll. Today we fix both problems. We add roles so different people see different things, and we seed the database with a realistic company so the rest of the series has something to show. In episode 2, we generated a small, empty migration to add a role column to the users table. Let us open it and fill it in. This adds a text column called role, defaulting to employee, positioned right after the email column. That placement is purely cosmetic. It just keeps the column order tidy when you inspect the table. The comment beside it lists the 4 values this column will ever hold. So every existing and future user is an ordinary employee unless we promote them. And notice the down method, drop column undoes exactly this addition, nothing more, which is what lets us roll this migration back cleanly if we ever needed to. We run the migration to apply it. Here it says nothing to migrate, since we ran this previously. We need to rerun the whole database migrations, so use the full :fresh on your command. Now open the user model. We want 2 things: to allow the role to be set, and a tidy way to ask, does this user have one of these roles? The feeable attribute at the top of the class gains 1 entry. Role joins name, email, and password. Without that, mass assigning role during seeding or registration would be silently ignored. Feeable is a whitelist, and until a column is on it, Eloquent refuses to set it in bulk as a safety measure. Now the helper, added inside the class body. The hasRole method uses a spread parameter. Those 3 dots mean it accepts any number of role names. Then in array, checks whether this user's role is one of them, with a strict true 3rd argument, so it compares type as well as value. So we can write user arrow hasRole, admin HR, and get true or false. Small method, but we will lean on it everywhere, and it keeps role checks readable instead of scattering raw string comparisons around the app. The role's constant isn't used by any code yet, but it's the single source of truth we'll validate against the moment we build a form that lets an admin change someone's role. Now, how do we actually stop the wrong person from opening a page? The answer is middleware. Middleware is code that runs before your controller, like a bouncer at a door. It gets to inspect the request and decide, let it through, or turn it away. Let us write one that checks roles. Open a new file and write the handle method. This is the complete file for imports in one method. Let's read the bouncer's logic. It receives the request, a next function that represents carry on into the app, and a list of allowed roles. That same spread parameter trick from hasRole. If there is no logged-in user, or the user does not have one of the allowed roles, we call abort 403, which stops everything and returns a forbidden error. Otherwise, we call next of request, which waves them through. Notice we reuse our hasRole helper here. That is why we built it. And the comment even spells out exactly how a route will invoke this. One more step makes this pleasant to use. We register a short nickname or alias for this middleware so routes can just say role. Open bootstrap/app.php and add an alias. That block sits right inside the with middleware closure, alongside the web middleware group the starter kit already registered. Now, later, protecting a group of routes is as simple as writing middleware role:admin, HR. That reads almost like plain English. This group needs the admin or HR role. We will use exactly that in every episode from here on. To build screens, we need data. Typing 30 employees by hand would be miserable, so we use factories. A factory is a blueprint for a fake row. Laravel already made one for each model back in episode 2. Open the employee factory and describe what a believable employee looks like. The fake helper is a fake data generator. It gives us realistic first names, last names, phone numbers, and even a plausible street address. Unique arrow safe email guarantees no two employees share an email. And notice department : factory and position : factory. If we do not give an employee a department or position, the factory quietly creates brand new ones for them. That chaining of factories is powerful, but it has a sharp edge we will handle in the Cedar next. User_ID, manager_ID, and avatar_path all default to null. A bare factory-made employee has no login account, no manager, and no photo unless we say otherwise. A factory makes one fake row on demand. A Cedar decides how many and how they connect to build a coherent world. Open database/cedars/databasecedar.php. This is the complete file, and we build it top to bottom. First, the imports and the 4 login accounts, 1 per role. For accounts, for roles, memorable.test emails. Every field we pass overrides whatever the starter kit's user factory would have made up. The factory still generates a random name and a hash password behind the scenes for anything we don't override, but we care about the email and the role, so those we pin down explicitly. All 4 log in with the password. Keep these 2 names in your head. Admin@hr.test and employee@hr.test are the 2 accounts we'll flip between constantly to prove permissions actually work. Next, leave types. Three real categories, created directly rather than through a factory. Because these are fixed reference data, every company has exactly these, not a random assortment. 20 days annual, 10 sick, both paid. Unpaid leave earns nobody any entitled days by default, and isn't a score paid false is what episode 12's payroll math will check before deducting it from someone's pay. Now departments and positions, from a blueprint, so the company looks sensible rather than random. Five real departments, 14 positions between them, handwritten so demos always feature engineering and sales rather than whatever fake job title, invents. The code column strips spaces before taking 3 letters. So, human resources becomes HUM, not HU space. See how we create a department, push it onto a running collection, then use department arrow positions arrow create to attach each position directly to it. Laravel fills in the department ID for us because it knows the relationship. Both collections, departments and positions, stay in memory for the rest of the seeder because we're about to need real IDs, not fresh random ones. Now the important bit. Managers first, so staff can report to them. 1 manager per department, 5 in total. For each department, we hunt for a position whose title contains the word manager, engineering manager, sales manager, and so on, falling back to that department's very first position if none matches, which only bites marketing, since it has no manager title in our blueprint. And notice the ternary on user_ID. Only the very first manager in the loop, engineering's, gets linked to our seeded MIA manager login account. The rest are pure data with no login. That's deliberate. We only need 1 real, loggable in manager to demo manager-only screens later, and the department loop order guarantees it's always engineering's manager. Every time we reseed, manager_ID is explicitly null for all of them. Managers in this seeded company don't report to anyone. Now we attach our 1 demo employee login to a real employee record. Evan gets a real employee row matching his login. Same name, same email, sitting in the first department under the first position, reporting to the first manager we just created. This is the row episode 9's clock-in feature. An episode SIXS profile page will show when you log in as employee at hr.test. And now the bulk of the company, 30 ordinary employees, no login accounts. By passing department ID and position ID explicitly, we override the factory's defaults, so it reuses our real departments instead of inventing new ones. This is a real bug people hit. I hit it myself building this, where Cedar mysteriously creates hundreds of departments, 1 per employee, because the factory's own department_ID / position_ID fallback silently fires every time you forget to pass them in. Passing the foreign keys in is the fix, and the comment above the loop says exactly that so future you doesn't reintroduce the bug. Notice too that the position is picked only from that department's positions, filtering the positions collection by department_ID before calling random. So we never assign someone's sales title while they sit in engineering. Last section, leave balances, leave requests, attendance, and payslips generated together for every employee we just created. One closure, run once per employee, building 4 kinds of history. First, a leave balance for every leave type. 3 rows per employee, entitled _days copied straight from that type's default, used _days starting at 0. Second, roughly 40% of employees. That's what ran between 1 and 10. Less than or equal 4 means get 1 leave request on file, dated anywhere from 20 days ago to 20 days in the future, in a random status. Look at that reviewed_by and reviewed_add pair. Both stay null while the status is pending, and both get filled in by HR right now, the moment the status is anything else. That's the exact same rule episode 8's approval endpoint will enforce for real. The seeder is just faking history that already obeys it. Third, 5 days of attendance looking backward from today, with a clock in sometime between 8 and 9 and a clock out 7 to 9 hours later. And status flips to late the moment the clock in hour reaches 9, which is the same rule the real clock in endpoint uses in episode 9. And fourth, this month's payslip. Gross pay is the annual salary divided by 12, deductions are a flat 20%, net is what's left. Simplified math will build out properly when episode 11 does payroll for real. Every screen we build from here has something real to show, because we describe a company's whole rhythm right here, once. Now the satisfying part. We rebuild the database from scratch and seed it in 1 command. Migrate fresh drops every table and rebuilds them from our migrations, --seed, then runs our seeder. Watch it work. When it finishes, our database holds 4 role accounts, 5 departments, 14 positions, 36 employees, over 100 leave balances, plus leave requests, attendance, and payslips. From an empty file to a whole company, reproducibly, in seconds. Anyone who clones this project runs one command and gets the exact same world. Let's prove one thing before we move on. Log in as admin at hr.test, password, then log out and back in as employee at hr.test. Same app, same code, 2 different people. Nothing looks different yet, because we haven't built a single screen that checks roles. But the moment we do, starting a couple of episodes from now, this is the pair of accounts we'll keep switching between. Today we made our app aware of who is who. We added a role column, wrote a clean hasRole helper, and built middleware that guards routes by role with a friendly role : alias. Then we filled our database with a believable company using factories and a seeder, and dodged the classic factory explosion bug along the way, while also faking a history of leave, attendance, and pay that already follows the same rules our real features will enforce. Next episode, we build our first real screens, departments and positions, end to end, from controller to React. See you there.